Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American supernatural horror film from 2026, titled The Box in the Attic. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie begins with a possessed woman, Ellie, screaming on her bed while pleading for her mother's forgiveness. The scene then shifts to 4 days earlier, when Ellie, who is still normal, is packing her belongings to visit her childhood home. Her husband, Jacob, enters to check if she is ready and asks if she is sure she does not want him to accompany her. Ellie declines but expresses concern about leaving without seeing their daughter, who is at school. Jacob reassures her that they will be fine, and before she leaves, tells her to stay safe. As she begins her journey, Ellie stops at a graveyard to visit the grave of her late mother, Stephanie. She recalls how her mother ignored her during a school play, revealing that they had a troubled relationship while Stephanie was alive. Ellie tells her mother's grave that she would never treat her own daughter the way she had been treated before driving away. Later, Ellie arrives at her childhood home, where she meets John, a representative of Stuart, her realtor. Ellie intends to sell the house, with Stuart handling the process, but since he is unavailable, he sends John in his place. While reviewing the paperwork, Ellie discovers that some documents are missing, and John assures her that he will inform Stuart when he returns to the office before taking his leave. After entering the house, Ellie visits her childhood bedroom and recalls a past argument between herself and her mother. When she tries to turn on the lights, she discovers that they are not working, prompting her to call the electricity company. Ellie contacts the electricity company to report that the power supply to the house has been cut, even though, according to the agreement, it was not supposed to be disconnected until 2 days later. However, she is informed that the electricity supply is still active. When she tries the lights again, they come on, though unbeknownst to her, something is seen watching her. Later, during a phone call with Jacob, Ellie speaks with their daughter, Samantha, and tells her that Jacob will have to take her to school until she returns. After the pleasant conversation ends, a cabinet suddenly swings open by itself, startling Ellie, and as she closes it, the attic door unexpectedly opens. Curious, she goes to investigate and discovers that the attic has been left open. Climbing inside, she disgusted finds a dead rat and an old box sealed with candle wax. Believing that the box may have belonged to her mother, Ellie calls Jacob and tells him about her discovery. Jacob asks what is inside and jokingly suggests that it might contain money, but Ellie admits that she has no idea what the contents are. She then calls her uncle, Rick, to ask about the box, but he also knows nothing about it. Their conversation ends awkwardly, and moments later, the box suddenly falls from the table onto the floor. When Ellie attempts to remove the box from the room, she notices that a nearby lamp begins to flicker. However, when she places the box back, the light stops flickering, and just then, there is a knock at the door. It is Teresa, Stephanie's close friend, who has come to greet Ellie after noticing her car outside. Teresa asks why Ellie did not attend her mother's funeral, and Ellie explains that she was busy at the time. Ellie then asks if she knows anything about the antique box, and Teresa replies that she does, as Stephanie had told her about it. She explains that the box had been passed down to Stephanie by her own mother and had remained in the family for several generations. According to tradition, each generation placed something valuable inside the box, although Teresa does not know what Stephanie contributed. When Ellie asks why her mother never mentioned the box to her, Teresa suggests that their strained relationship may have been the reason. She also explains that the box was never meant to be opened except to add something to it, and that nothing should ever be removed from it. After sharing this information with Ellie, Teresa leaves, leaving the mysterious box in her possession. That night, Ellie calls Jacob to tell him what she has learned about the wooden box, and curious, Jacob asks what might be inside. Ellie wonders whether she should open it, but Jacob is uncertain, considering Teresa's warning. Unable to sleep later that night, partly because of the heavy rainfall, Ellie hesitates but eventually scrapes off the candle wax seal and opens the box. Inside, she finds a piece of paper with Hebrew writing on it, a strand of hair, and a dried rose, leaving her disappointed and frustrated. Just then, the bathroom door suddenly closes by itself, and as she goes to investigate, she is distracted by strange noises coming from the living room. To her shock, Ellie discovers that the box is once again closed and that the items she had removed have somehow returned to their original positions inside. Disturbed by what she has witnessed, Ellie calls Jacob and confesses that she opened the box, revealing the contents she found. She also tells him about the strange events that followed. However, Jacob refuses to believe that anything supernatural is happening and dismisses her concerns, advising her to get some sleep instead, which only frustrates her further. Determined to find answers, Ellie searches online for information about the antique box, but finds nothing useful. She then decides to look up the Hebrew word written on the piece of paper and discovers that it translates to release in English. As the night progresses, the supernatural occurrences intensify. The lights begin flickering repeatedly, while a groaning voice can be heard in the background. Meanwhile, Ellie receives a phone call from her daughter, Samantha, who begins saying things that deeply unsettle and frighten her. She tells Ellie that she is in the house with her and urges her to come and find her, and suddenly, Samantha's voice changes into a demonic tone. Terrified, Ellie goes to the living room, where she spots a figure in the hallway that lunges at her, only for her to wake up and realize it was a nightmare. The next day, Ellie receives a call from a psychic named Disha, who tells her that someone informed her about the box Ellie found. Disha reveals that it is a Dybbuk box and translates the Hebrew words written on the piece of paper, leaving Ellie shocked. At home, Samantha is seen drawing the Dybbuk box along with a figure, telling Jacob that the figure lives inside the box. Meanwhile, Disha visits Ellie at her childhood home and explains more about the Dybbuk box. She says that a Dybbuk is a demon that attaches itself to the living. The Dybbuk box originates from ancient folklore, where evil souls were believed to be trapped inside such boxes. According to her, candles are lit over the box and a séance is performed to keep the spirits confined and prevent them from possessing anyone. Disha warns Ellie that, by opening the box, the demon has become attached to her and will feed on her until she dies before moving on to its next victim. She also warns her not to visit her family, as the spirit can easily possess children. Ellie asks if the spirit can be returned to the box, but Disha suddenly becomes frightened by something she sees behind Ellie and hurriedly leaves the house. While cleaning a bloody nose in the bathroom, Ellie suddenly feels a sharp pain in her mouth and is horrified when one of her teeth falls out. Later, Teresa visits her again and questions why she did not attend her mother's funeral, and Ellie responds with an excuse. Seeing how tense Ellie is, Teresa realizes that she has opened the box, despite Ellie's attempts to deny it. Teresa tells her that her mother had always known she would eventually open the box and reveals that, on the third day, she will become possessed. Confused, Ellie asks what she means, and Teresa admits that she had lied about the box, and reveals that it was actually a curse left behind by Ellie's mother. When Ellie asks why her mother would do such a thing, Teresa explains that after Stephanie was diagnosed with kidney failure, Ellie suddenly began visiting her more often, which she found unusual. According to Teresa, knowing that Stephanie's kidneys could not properly filter high levels of potassium, Ellie had been secretly putting potassium pills into her drinks. Although Stephanie's death was officially ruled as being from natural causes, Teresa insists that hyperkalemia was what truly killed her. Unable to take any more, Ellie orders Teresa to leave, and before departing, Teresa warns her that she has only 3 days left to live. Overcome with tears and frustration, Ellie throws the Dybbuk box into a trash can outside. Later, while drinking a bottle of whiskey, she comes across a video on her phone in which she notices a strange figure and observes herself behaving oddly. Believing the alcohol is playing tricks on her mind, she dismisses it and throws the bottle away, determined to get herself together. After hearing strange noises, Ellie goes up to the attic but finds nothing. Later, John arrives to deliver the remaining documents, but despite repeatedly knocking on the door, Ellie does not respond, and he eventually leaves. Coming back to her senses, Ellie calls Jacob and tells him about the curse unleashed upon her after opening the Dybbuk box. She also confesses to killing her mother, leaving Jacob speechless. Fearing that he will see her as a terrible person, Ellie begs him not to judge her and assures him that she will find a way to fix the mess she has created. After the call, Ellie begins researching the Dybbuk box, and when she notices the attic door opening on its own, she goes to investigate. To her horror, she sees a terrifying figure approaching her from the darkness, and frightened, she runs back to her room, but then, this happens. After waking up from the nightmare, Ellie is shocked to discover that the Dybbuk box she had previously thrown into the trash outside is now back inside the house. On the second day, she begins to cough up blood violently and is horrified when she pulls a long strand of hair from her mouth. Moments later, she spots the demonic figure and locks herself inside the bathroom. The doorknob begins to shake violently as something tries to get in. Ellie pleads with the figure to leave her alone, and it eventually does, and shortly after, she is startled by a knock at the door. It is John, who has returned with the complete documents for Ellie to sign. While signing them, Ellie suddenly threatens John, saying she will rip out his eyeballs. However, it is revealed to be a hallucination, and a terrified Ellie immediately tells John to leave. That night, Ellie is in the kitchen when she is startled by something, causing her to drop a glass cup, which shatters on the floor. Noticing the pool lights flickering, she goes to investigate, and to her horror, sees the demonic figure emerging from the pool. In a panic, she accidentally steps on a broken piece of glass, injuring her foot. After removing the shard, she is shocked to also pull a strand of hair from the wound. When she looks back at the pool, the figure has disappeared. Later that night, while Ellie is asleep, the demonic figure emerges from the closet and crawls toward her bed. However, it turns out to be another nightmare. However, when she goes into the living room, she spots the demonic figure on the couch, but it soon vanishes. Hearing strange noises coming from the pool area, Ellie goes to investigate but finds nothing unusual. Later, she decides to light a candle and places it on the Dybbuk box while praying for the demonic figure to go away. After praying, she throws the box into the fireplace, and immediately afterward, something happens. In the middle of the night, Ellie wakes up seemingly possessed. As seen at the beginning of the movie, she screams and pleads for her mother's forgiveness. However, it is revealed to be another nightmare, and Ellie wakes up on the third day, appearing normal. When she checks the Dybbuk box, she discovers that it is now sealed and believes the curse has been lifted. She calls Jacob to inform him that she has made peace with her mother's spirit and will be home soon. Afterwards, she drives home, where Jacob happily welcomes her despite her earlier confession about her mother's death. She then goes to meet Samantha, who is drawing in her room, and they embrace. Ellie notices a drawing of the Dybbuk box and the figure, and Samantha cryptically says that the box belongs to Ellie and that the figure is her mother, who has, of course, followed her home. Okay guys, that's all the recap about the box in the attic from 2026. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.